This is Metzi from Yellow Brick Card Club. You can find us at Yellow Brick Card Club on Instagram. There we have links to our free Discord, our video streams, and whatever else we got going on at the moment. You can find Pierce at Pierce Breaks on Instagram and YouTube, and at reddit.com/r/Pierce Breaks. Both of us run lively, free Discords. Come check us out and enjoy the show.
I can't remember if it was on an official episode or one of the pilot episodes, but we definitely gave you a shout out before about your pricing spreadsheet. And I have unashamedly been using your work for pricing all of my breaks since I started basically and watched your video on YouTube. But we have a very similar philosophy of wanting to price for the floor. You see a lot of breakers, if there's a big chase like Paul Skeens or something, they jack up the price of the Pirates, but the reality of hitting one Skeens card to make it justify that price is very low. So, I definitely prefer, maybe to my detriment, to price more off of floor and be realistic about what's going to be hit. And, if they get a big hit, then that's great. And, we're super excited, but you can't predict when that hit is going to come. And I just feel really bad charging someone, over $100 for a spot or something, if it's not one of the teams that has a higher floor of players and rookies and inserts and all that stuff. So, I really appreciate all the work that you do and all the troubleshooting that you do when I have questions, because I'm like a Excel barbarian of just brute forcing my way to make certain things work. And when they inevitably break the spreadsheet, I can always ask you questions. But yeah, Series 2025, Series 1, I haven't dove too deeply into the checklist, but one of the things that I'm super excited about are the flagship Real One autographs. As we've talked about before on this podcast, I have a collection of Heritage Real One autos for the D-backs, and I have a few random guys in there as well. And I'm very excited to see the Real Ones come to flagship. We saw a preview today of the Aaron Judge Superfractor, and it's a base card with an on-card autograph on it. So that's pretty much all that I want from an autograph card in flagship. And, I got Corbin on the checklist. So I'm a happy camper.
Yeah, I was doing my preliminary pricing for 2025, and I think something that you'll be happy to hear is I've got the Diamondbacks as one of the lower value teams, so hopefully you'll be getting the D-backs pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Parsing through the checklist, there's been a lot of changes, especially considering in relation to last year.
Mm-hmm.
I was noticing that they've got all these different parallels. There's Diamante parallels, which I assume is going to be like a mini diamond parallel.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like those ones are hanger specific. And they made it. Yeah. And they've made a change to the holiday parallels. So it doesn't look like there's going to be holiday parallels in the blasters this year. It looks like they're going to continue going with the sort of the tin format that they were doing with holiday,
Mm-hmm.
and releasing Series 1 tins, and those are going to have the holiday specific parallels, and the blasters instead are going to have spring training parallels, whatever that means.
Right. Is that that will kind of be like the holiday parallels of years past, or those. Or sorry, you said holiday. I was thinking when you said holiday, I was thinking Mother's Day and Father's Day and those ones. But you're talking about like the Halloween and the Easter ones that we've seen before.
Yeah. So the eggs, the rabbit, the flowers, those ones are all going to be in
The
the
tins.
tin format,
Hmm.
and the value boxes are going to just have what they're calling spring training, um, and then they'll have parallels that are green, gold, orange. So I'm wondering if I've got no idea what that
Yeah.
means. I'm guessing maybe it's going to be alternate photographs, and there'll be
Hmm.
photos from spring training. Um, but I'm excited to see what they are.
Yeah, definitely. Anything that's like related to baseball that they do with the cards is always interesting. It's not, Kevin Hart or something like that. So
Yeah.
hopefully it looks cool. And then the other thing, last episode we were speculating a good amount because we weren't 100% sure about those Mother's Day and Father's Day parallels, and the black parallels and the true photos and the team borders. And luckily, with the odds coming out, we did find out that team borders and true photos are coming back, but it seems like the black parallel is officially gone. They've changed it. They've added a few black like foils to 10, right?
Yep.
So it like kind of makes sense to keep it in line with the rest of the products where black parallels are typically numbered out of 10, but it is odd that they've been, black parallels are one of the longest running parallels, I assume, up there with like the gold parallels that are numbered for the year. So it's interesting. I don't have a super strong thought about it. It's not something that I personally collect, but I know that there are a lot of people that are not too happy about that change.
Well, I have to wonder if one of the reasons why they dropped it was, last year they screwed up with the numbering because
Right.
Series 1 and Series 2 were out of what, 73? And then Update was out of 74.
Yeah.
And also at this point, they've got the Independence Day parallel that's numbered out of 76.
Hmm.
And so I'm curious if they just decided to drop it because they screwed up last year, and that they're very quickly approaching having 2 out of 76 cards that are different parallels, and just decided to go, say screw it and turn it back into an out of 10.
Right. Yeah. Who, it's there's so many things that happen with tops and we can speculate all day long, but at the end of the day, it's just like who knows why this decision was made, but it is what it is, and just have to keep moving forward.
Yeah, speaking of decisions that I'm not particularly happy with, have you looked at the odds for the all aces inserts?
No, are they bad?
Yeah, so all aces are now hobby and jumbo only,
Oh boy.
and their odds are worse than a case hit, I think. No, they're basically a
Wow.
case hit.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, from a making money standpoint, it makes sense because they're one of the most loved inserts recently. But from a consumer standpoint, that really sucks.
Oh, I'm sorry. They're basically basically two in a case. And yeah, that it absolutely does suck. They're by far my favorite insert. They were what really really got me into collecting, because I pulled
Hmm.
that first one and I was like, as someone who's got a background in like, well, not background, but is a amateur magician. I don't know. I've got a very soft spot in my heart for things that are like cards that are alternative to actual cards.
Hmm.
And I fell in love with those inserts and made it my mission to collect the entire set. And that's the first set I finished. And now, like, the prices are just going to be insane on those.
Yeah, it
And
it
I
will
don't I
be.
don't know if I'm going to be able to justify the cost.
Yeah, It will be interesting to see because there are certain inserts where when they go year to year, I think Beam Team this year had worse odds than last year, but the prices didn't really change that much because people are so used to those inserts being around a certain price point. So I wonder if early on you're going to be able to get some deals on all aces and people just like, oh, it's another all aces, it's $5 or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah,
But we'll see.
Yeah, the only other things I kind of noted from the checklist was I'm very interested in the placata insert. That's a new one that's in, and it also has very like case hit odds.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and looking through it, it looks like looking through the checklist, it looks like it's all Dominican players.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
yeah, I looked it up, and I guess placata is something that was popularized by the player's name is escaping me, but it's a Dominican phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I'm curious to see what the design is on that. Julio's in it, is in that set, and so I'll probably be trying to get one of those. But who knows? It'll
For
probably
sure.
be like the Celebracion cards, where
Yeah,
also extremely expensive.
exactly. Um, oh, nice. I'm looking at that now. I thought I saw Marte earlier, and I'm glad to see him on the list. Yeah. So the last question regarding 2025 Series 1 is, what are your feelings on the 1990 card design?
If I'm being honest, I don't have strong feelings.
Mm,
As as I mentioned, I don't necessarily have all of the nostalgia of all the cards from the Junk Wax era. I've got
mhm,
a lot of nostalgia for the players from the Junk Wax era.
right.
Um, and so like when I was collecting, if I'm thinking back to the small collection that I did have, a lot of my cards were coming from late 90s. And
Hmm.
so like I've been really excited with archives, seeing the different sort of late 90s designs that they've been having, with especially with their fan favorites autos, because those are really
Yeah,
bringing me back.
for sure.
um but yeah, 1990, I'll judge it when I've got it in hand.
Hmm. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I think you and I are similar in age, and I think Wax and Kingdom are a little bit older, so they were actually collecting in that era. I don't have personal nostalgia for 1990, but just having looked at it now and just my personal taste, like I love the cheesy kind of look of the 1990 cards, and the one that we've seen, if they actually make the colors of the cards match the teams, I think that will be even cooler. But I'm really excited to see how the silver pack cards look. Um,
Yeah. The thing I kind of go back to is like when 2024's design was released, I absolutely hated it. I thought it looked
yeah.
awful.
Hmm.
And then I started opening the packs and I was just like, you know what? This is actually pretty cool. And
Yep.
so it's really hard for me to make a lot of snap judgments off of photos. When I first started collecting, I thought archives looked terrible.
Hmm.
And now it's easily my favorite set. And
Yeah.
so it's one of those things where I need to see the product in person and look through them before I
Hmm.
can really formulate a good opinion. Um, I think one of the other really big uh, bits of news for 2025 is with the release of the checklist, we've got confirmation that there are not going to be home run challenge cards for 2025.
That is true. That is, yeah. As someone who doesn't open a lot of cards, I don't have a strong opinion on it. I am sad because they are cool. I have a Corbin that I hit that was really cool, and it's just a fun thing to do if you go to a game and you have the guy, or just whatever, you pick one weekend and put like 20 in or whatever. It's a very fun thing, and it's a very cool way to engage with the hobby and with the sport. And I'm sure it's a production nightmare just based on number of people that are collecting and number of codes that are getting inputted and getting all that figured out. Just based on the production times, I think I hit mine in July and I didn't see it until like October, November or something. So the lead times were just obscenely long last season. Um, but ultimately, I maybe had 5 of them, but I know a lot more people had a lot more than 5 over the course of the season. So
Yeah, I don't think I redeemed a single one last season, but 2023, when I was ripping a lot of retail, I got a lot of them, and uh, I hit one, but thankfully the one that I hit was J Rod. So
there you go.
I got a Julio one from 2023, but I agree, like it's such a great way to engage fans, but if I had to venture a guess, the reason Topps discontinued it is because they are doing so poorly with getting them manufactured and sending them. Um,
Yeah, I think that's a safe a safe guess based on how this
yeah.
season went. Um, so moving on from 2025 Series 1, we're still a month out from seeing it, so I'm sure we'll get more info and be able to talk more about it in the coming weeks. But what breaks have you done recently?
So I have done a couple of breaks this month. I stole an idea from you, which I believe you stole from YBRB,
Yes.
and did a progressive player auction of 2023 update hangers. And while ripping it was awesome, it was great going through all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, the sorting afterwards.
Yeah,
um,
the hangers might be even more masochistic than the blasters.
we ended up doing 2.5 cases,
Jeez.
and I did the math. That's about 10,000 cards total. And, and there were some I went from the beginning, and I was just like, no base for
Yeah.
anyone unless you absolutely request it. And some people requested it,
Yeah.
and one guy had like 4 teams
Oh
and
God.
asked for all of the rookies from 3 of the teams and then all of the cards from his PC team.
Yeah.
And he's got 4 packages of cards just from those 4 teams.
Mm-hmm.
um it's an insane amount of cards.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with all of the base,
Yep.
but it's better than going through all 10,000 and having to sort them all specifically.
Oh yeah.
We didn't hit anything super interesting in that break. It was a fun break to do just because it's always fun to open a ton of cards with other people's money.
Yes.
But the most recent break that I did is, like you, I have been opening a lot of archives,
Mm-hmm.
and I filled 2 breaks that were half collector's boxes and half hobby boxes.
Nice.
Unfortunately, not Tops, Dave and Adams decided to screw up sending out my pre-orders, and they sent me all of the collector's boxes at once, and then all of the uh, hobby boxes came like a week later. And
Oh
so
geez.
rather than delay everything until I got the hobby boxes, I just did, part 1 of both breaks and then part 2 of both of the other breaks.
Oh, interesting.
Um, and we hit some really cool cards out of that. We pulled a Colton Cowser new breed
Nice.
rookie auto, which was awesome. Um, we also pulled a number of Action All Stars parallel autos, which
Yeah.
I think those are probably my favorite autos coming out of that set, just
Nice.
because, like, with the sort of sticker outline with the white background,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then when you get the parallels, the background is completely blue or completely gold. And so we pulled a Bucky Dent auto out of 50 that was all gold. It looks amazing. Um, and then in the first break, I think probably my favorite auto that we pulled out of the entire both cases was we pulled a Pedro Martinez at the break auto out of 25, so it's blue.
Oh, that's
And
beautiful.
yeah, anytime you can pull a guy like Pedro as someone who's got fond memories of the 90s and all that stuff, like it's just that was the one I was most excited about.
For sure.
Um, the second break we had some cool stuff, but it wasn't nearly as interesting as the first break. We pulled
Mm-hmm.
a Jim Palmer Action All Stars auto and a Lawrence Butler 1958 TV Westerns auto, which those are also I also really
The,
like the
yeah.
design and the look of those cards.
Yeah, those might be my favorites, especially like some of the nicknames or the phrases are way better than others, and Lawrence Butler's is one of the best ones.
Yeah. I do feel like that particular set has a pretty watered down auto checklist.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we were really lucky that we managed to pull a Lawrence Butler one. Um,
Yeah.
and then
We
the other two names that really excited me as a 90s baseball lover were we pulled both a Jim Edmonds and a Chili Davis on the game auto, which was cool.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean that's why we love archives, because the checklist you is somewhat watered down with some of those rookies that you're not too excited about, but there are a lot more of those veterans that you are excited about, especially if they're one of your guys. I mean, it's the best. And that action all-stars set has a ton of, I want to say all those autos are like fan favorite team legend guys.
Yeah, it's certainly a set where I feel much more comfortable that, like, even if it doesn't fit my PC specifically, I'm more likely to pull an autograph of a player that I have fond memories of, that I'd be like, you know what? I don't mind having a Jim Edmonds auto in my
Right.
PC, even though he's not in my PC. And personally, I felt like he got way too many gold gloves because he was a slow white man who had to
Mhm.
dive when Ken Griffey Jr. would be standing under that ball.
Right.
Um, sorry,
No, it's just a
that's a
personal,
gripe. That
yeah,
is a gripe from my teen years.
deep seated, holding on to that one for a while.
Yeah. What about you? Any cool breaks you've done recently?
Yeah. I am still processing my Bowman's best break from last night. Bowman's Bowman's best, I was kind of iffy on it going into it. I mean, I knew it was going to be solid and it always has a cool design and stuff. And then while we were opening it, the cards just look super nice. You get a ton of color, you get 4 autos a box, and we hit 2 gigantic cards. And the first one was a triple auto for the Rangers. So we got a bunch of, well, we got 3 autos on one card of some of their big prospects: Paulino Santana, Pablo Guerrero, and Braylon Morrell. And that one was numbered to 75. And then in that same box, a few packs later, speaking of players from our childhood, I pulled a Cam Caminiti auto superfractor, and he is a cousin to Ken Caminiti. He's now in the Braves system.
Yeah, I saw that. That is a absolutely beautiful card.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the thing I want to talk about with your polls is Braylon Morrell's signature.
Yeah. That is definitely the most notable autograph that we saw yesterday. I mean, I get it to some extent with some of these players that, they're young guys that are coming from outside of the United States, maybe not English as a second language, all that stuff.
Yeah,
So I get it, but at the same time, it's like there has to be some training on this. I mean, the other guys, at least made an attempt to have a cool looking auto. Paulino Santana's got a really sharp auto. I don't know how it says Paulino Santana, but it still looks pretty nice. But yeah, Braylon Morrell,
yeah,
it's like just middle school, just
chicken
straight
scratch.
straight text on the sticker. But it's a nice, it's like a nice spectrum. We talked about it in the break. Like here at the top is nice penmanship. The middle one, they tried at least. Like you can see what they were trying to do. He's got the number on it, and then the bottom one is just like he just wrote his name.
Yeah,
But
I'm excited to break into. I also have a Bowman's Best break that is full. That I got my boxes yesterday, but the way my work schedule's changed, I have to start breaking on like Saturdays and things. So we're gonna break into that case on Saturday, and I'm very excited, especially seeing what came out of yours.
yeah, I wish you luck. I have been really enjoying it. There's been a bunch of guys on Instagram that have broken some cool things, and I actually kind of, to a point that you made, I don't know if you actually, you in our pre meeting, you talked about how some team checklists, there's a lot of value in the guys that don't have like the top chases. We talked about it a little bit kind of in our philosophy that a lot of people tend to price teams higher that have bigger chases, and that benefits the teams that don't have the big chases. So I got in on some D-backs Bowman's Best breaks, and right before I went live with my break, I hit a triple auto for myself. Well, I didn't pull it, but in a break I hit a triple auto for myself. Corbin Carroll, Jordan Lawler, Tommy Troy, numbered to 5.
Ooh.
And that's easily the biggest card in my personal collection right now. So that's
amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, between that and then pulling the cards that I did, it was just like an insane day, and I barely slept last night.
Yeah. That is 100% true though. Like if there's something that I've really learned from doing a lot of that statistical stuff, it is when you price to the floor, you are getting a much better sense of what the actual value is of those teams when you're buying into breaks. And as you said, if you're buying into the for-profit stuff, they generally will price to the ceiling, which means that they are pricing for the biggest hits that you could possibly get, even though, the biggest hits, you're looking for a Paul Skeens 101 or whatever. Those are like, less than 0.5% chance that you're going to hit that. And so there's a lot of value just when you look at those, even when you're looking at guys that have lower, like lower hype. Like last year, well, when I first started doing this, I got someone from Reddit reach out and he was like, "Hey, can I have access to your sheets?" And he's chatted with me on occasion and basically told me what he's been doing with them is he's been using them to identify places to buy. And for 2024, he was like, "Yeah, I used your sheet. I was looking and I was buying the Texas Rangers because, Wyatt Langford is still a really good rookie auto to grab. And Evan Carter was also in that checklist, but they weren't the top guys. And so you could get them for an affordable price relatively, and it wasn't kind of matching what the actual value was out of it." And he was just like, "Yeah, and I bought those and I hit a couple of really good autos out of those guys and basically made all my money back and then some." And he sent me like a $100 tip for letting him use my sheets.
That's awesome.
Which was great. And I turned around and I think I used it to buy a couple of PC autos. But
there you go.
There's a lot of value there.
Definitely. And it's funny because based on the way that we do the spreadsheets, the Rangers were always one of the pricier teams because they have a higher floor. They had a pretty robust checklist compared to other teams with solid rookies on it. So that's funny. I like partially use that application of like, I know where my pricing is and I see where other people's pricing is, but I didn't think of it as it being an independent tool like that people could use.
Yeah, I think another one of those is like the Yankees. Like usually the Yankees go pretty high just because, Aaron Judge and players, they've got stars on their team, but they always have a super, super strong checklist.
Yeah.
Because like Derek Jeter signs everything,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just so many retired guys that have big names that are always in their auto checklists, and they're all over the inserts. And so it's one of those where if you're looking to get like good value out of your money, especially when you're buying into something where they don't necessarily have the best rookies, like they're not going to have a super strong rookie class for Series 1, but they've got a ton of value in their checklist. And like that would be a team that I would be looking at when I'm checking out, if I'm trying to go into a for-profit break, which I don't usually do.
Right.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. The Yankees are a team that their checklist is always just super strong. I mean, the Yankees bias is real. There's like
Yep.
just the number of cards that they get, the number of inserts they get, no matter what. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Judge isn't there anymore, if they have another superstar, if they're able to continue that with Tops. But I assume, I mean, the Yankees are one of the most popular teams, if not the most popular team in baseball. So it makes sense that they would have the most cards, whether we like it or not.
Hey, I don't complain, because when I pull a really good Yankees card, I get at the New York bonus jump. When I
Yeah.
put it on eBay, there's always, people are always
Mm-hmm.
trying to buy them for much more than the cards are probably worth.
Yeah, exactly. Um, do you have any breaks coming up that you're excited about, or just, well, we talked about Bowman's Best. Are you doing any more archives? Are you doing anything else to get us through the lull into 2025 Series 1?
Yeah, right now I'm still trying to fill another break of 2024 Bowman Draft. One of our guys in our Discord reached out and said he bought a case and he was having trouble moving it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he basically offered the boxes to the Discord for us to fill any breaks we wanted, to kind of help him recoup money on his
Yeah.
end and also provide more product to folks. I think I'm about a third of the way full on that, so I'm going to break it whenever it fills.
Mm-hmm.
And then other than that, yeah, I've been so top loaded at the beginning of this month, especially
Mm-hmm.
with the PPA break,
Yeah.
that I've been trying to scale back on how much I'm breaking.
Mm-hmm.
I did buy a case of archives for myself with a couple of the other Seattle local guys,
Oh, wow.
not Wax and not YBRB, but um, a couple of guys that live on the north end that are in my Discord. And so we are planning on getting together on the 1st to go through and break that. And I'm excited about sort of the way that we're planning on doing it, because we're gonna basically put together uh as many like full base sets as possible, and everyone's gonna get a base set.
Oh,
And then
nice.
we're gonna randomly distribute the boxes, and everyone's gonna get the inserts from their boxes, but we're gonna pull the autos and do a hits draft at the end, so that everybody kind of gets something that's not, you
Yeah.
know you're not at the mercy of the
Random.
luck of the luck of
Yeah.
your box.
Right. That's
And
awesome.
so yeah, it's going to be really fun. It's going to be an opportunity to meet some of the folks from the Discord in real life, and um, you know turn this online hobby into a real life friendships.
For sure. That's what it's all about. I think we've talked about it on the pod before, just how awesome the community is, and you are coming from a much larger community than both of ours, but you guys have done a great job of just cultivating that environment and just having good people, and that makes everything so much better.
Yeah, that's I can't speak highly enough about the Discords that both Matt runs and that you run. Like, I have a tendency with my hobbies to pick them up and do them for intensely for like 6 months and then set them
Mm-hmm.
down and never pick them up again.
Yeah.
And I definitely credit the Discord and the community and everybody in it for keeping me involved and keeping me like interested and into this hobby, because without it, I don't think I'd still be doing this.
Yeah, 100%. I coming up. What do I have? I have another half case of archives that's filled. That is going to rip next week. I actually am writing the Bowman's Best High. I didn't even talk about I did 2021 Bowman's Best Break because the boxes were super cheap, and that ended up being almost non-profit because there wasn't a ton of interest, and rightfully so, because we got 4 expired redemption autos, unfortunately.
Ooh.
But fortunately they're not great, so whatever we get from Topps will be better than, an Andrew Vaughn auto and a JD Martinez Red Sox auto. So maybe not better than that, but for the most part, it'll be a lateral move if they just get a little care package from Topps. So
Yeah.
But it was still a lot of fun, still really cool. So writing the Bowman's Best Hype Wave, I just picked up some boxes of 2023. So I'll open. Signups will be open when this episode drops. We'll see if we can fill them over the weekend. And then
that'll be another fun break.
Yeah, very excited because I started in the hobby a similar time as you, probably a little bit afterwards. So I didn't get to open any 2023 Bowman's Best personally. So excited to do that. I have purchased some singles from that set, especially the him insert is one of the cool inserts from last year. So excited to rip into that. And I also ended up getting a couple boxes of WWE Chrome. I surprisingly won the EQL. Of course, not of any of the products that I really wanted. It was freaking WWE hobby boxes. So we'll see. It should be fun. I've done a couple random Star Wars breaks that have been really fun. And, I think we're all kind of similar, like you coming from the Pokemon background and stuff, where just opening any cards is fun, and seeing different designs and seeing new things is always fun. So I still have to figure out the format of that, because it's, sports are nice where you can just organize by team and go from there. And there's not teams in wrestling. So I'll figure
There's
something
tag
out.
teams.
There are tag teams, but only 2, maybe 3 members on a team. So we'll figure it out, but that should be fun too. And then that will bring us into February. We've talked about, I have another stolen idea from YBRB where the people who signed up for the break are sending me all the boxes. So we just did like a $20 minimum. So I'm just getting blasters and packs and bunch of random stuff. So one of the fun ones I got the other day is a 2022 opening day box. So we'll be hunting for some opening day short prints, and still have a bunch of boxes left to go. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, one thing I've been very impressed with you guys is just the creativity that you have in the different break styles. Like I've been so locked into just doing like, all right, we're doing a random order draft and we're doing pick your team, and I've wanted to kind of branch out into some more interesting, cooler things. Like, the most unique format that I've done is breaking Chrome blasters after the MVP buybacks are announced and after the MVPs are announced, and basically just breaking it through and pulling all the MVPs out and saying we're going to take these buybacks and buy something for the group. And just seeing the creativity of you guys has really impressed me, and I have shamelessly stolen a couple of them and have considered stealing others, which I know you guys don't mind. So
exactly. I think, just going back to what we talked about with the community, like even the community that we have as breakers is really nice. And just it's great that we can all talk about breaking and what we're doing, and we can be in each other's communities and buy into each other's breaks. And it's just such a good relationship. And especially with Matt too, who will hopefully get on the podcast at some point. I mean, we know that he's just a great guy, and he's really doing the content creation side of things and really doing cool things on his YouTube channel. So it's really, really awesome to see. And speaking of YouTube channels and Discords, do you have anything that you would like to plug as we start wrapping things up?
Yeah, I'll plug my YouTube channel. It is nowhere near as fancy as Matt's. I'm working on it, but one of my goals for 2025 is to get a little bit back into content creation and doing things like that, as opposed to just streams. Mm-hmm. But my YouTube channel is APW Breaks. And then, if you're in Pierce's, in the other Discords, our Discord is Father and Son Sports Cards. I'm in Pierce's Discord. I don't think I'm in Wax's, but if you're interested, go ahead and reach out to me, and I'm happy to forward an invite link. Yeah, that's about it. My Instagram is focused on food, so I don't really take pictures of cards.
Yeah, I mean, if the people want to see food, they can reach out, and they know where to find you.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you very much for joining us. Very excited to have you. As we've said before, your spreadsheets have been super helpful to all of us, and in general, you've been super helpful. So I really appreciate it. We did not kidnap Wax and tie him up. There were some technical issues, and we just powered through. So if you're just here for Wax, I hate to disappoint you, but too bad. You'll just have to wait for the next episode to hear his voice again.
Yeah, but thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us, and we will talk to you again soon.